Let me tell you something brutally honest: if your life is a mess, if you feel lost, overwhelmed, unmotivated, and constantly tired, it's probably because you're drifting. You're not suffering from a lack of potential. You're not too weak, you're not too broken, you simply don't have a plan, you don't have order, you don't have a damn schedule, and until you do, chaos will keep winning. Now listen carefully, because what I'm about to say might just flip your entire perspective on what it means to take control of your life. The natural state of existence isn't peace, it's chaos, it's confusion. It's waking up late, reacting to problems all day, procrastinating, and then going to bed with regret gnawing at your mind. Without a schedule, you're just surviving, not living. You're reacting instead of building. Time leaks out of your day like water through your hands. The world is too complex, your mind is too noisy, and life is too short to stumble through it with no structure. A schedule isn't about being a control freak, it's about building a fortress against entropy. Without it, you'll always be scattered, anxious, and behind. People who respect themselves plan their days. Why? Because they believe their time is worth protecting. When you build a schedule, you're not being rigid, you're being deliberate. You're saying, this hour of my life matters, this task matters, my goals matter. If you let everyone else dictate your time, your dreams will die in the cracks. When you don't schedule your life, you send a message to your subconscious: what I want doesn't matter. That's a dangerous message to keep repeating. Stop being afraid of discipline. Real freedom comes through structure. Without that foundation, even your ambitions become nothing more than wishful thinking. People reject scheduling because they think it means suffocating spontaneity, or that it will chain them to a desk. Nonsense. A powerful schedule isn't about controlling every second, it's about prioritizing your highest values and responsibilities so they don't get swallowed up by distractions and laziness. You should schedule time to work, to create, to learn, and yes, to rest, to connect, to breathe. You command the clock, not the other way around. You build a day that serves your vision, not the chaos of the world. Without that command, your time becomes everyone else's property but your own. Every time you create a schedule, you're having a conversation with your future self. You're saying, I care about you. I'm willing to do what's hard today so you can live better tomorrow. That's the ultimate form of maturity: delayed gratification, structured effort, intentional progress. You can't live on motivation alone. You need strategy, and schedules are strategy in physical form. No one stumbles into greatness. You don't drift into discipline. You build it brick by brick, day by day. Your goals need deadlines, your purpose needs a map, and your future needs you to wake up and take responsibility for every damn hour you're given. Chaos is not an exception, it's the default. Without structure, the human mind doesn't gravitate toward clarity, purpose, or peace. It spins, it loops, it spirals into anxiety, distraction, and guilt. That's the uncomfortable truth. If you wake up with no plan, no direction, no prioritized agenda, then you are not in control of your day, the day controls you. And if every day is like that, then your life starts slipping into disorder without you even realizing it. One missed task turns into a week of procrastination. One lazy morning becomes a pattern. You promise yourself you'll get it together next week, next month, when things calm down. But things rarely calm down on their own. You need to impose order. You need to take the chaos that surrounds you and often lives within you and tame it through conscious design. That's what a schedule does. A schedule isn't just a to-do list or a calendar block. It's your first line of defense against the overwhelming complexity of life. When you don't schedule, everything feels urgent. Everything is in your head at once: what you should do, what you haven't done, what you might forget. That mental fog eats away at your focus and confidence. You're not lazy, you're overloaded, you're trying to operate in chaos without a compass. The schedule is that compass. It filters the noise. It tells your brain, this is what matters right now, forget the rest. What most people don't realize is that the reason they feel overwhelmed isn't because they have too much to do, it's because they haven't decided when to do it. The brain can't solve everything at once. It needs sequencing, it needs timing, it needs boundaries. Without that, your tasks start screaming at you from every corner of your mind. That's not how you want to live. When you build a schedule, you are, in essence, creating a narrative for your day. You're drawing lines between what matters and what doesn't. You're putting chaos in a box and giving your mind the gift of clarity. The more chaotic your life feels, the more desperately you need structure. People wait to feel better before they plan, but the truth is, planning is what makes you feel better. It gives you something solid to stand on, a path, a sense of control. Without it, you're always guessing. You're reactive instead of proactive. You're drifting. You need to stop drifting. You need to choose order, and that starts by making a damn schedule. When you build a schedule, you are doing far more than organizing time. You are making a statement about how much you value yourself. Scheduling is an act of self-respect. It means you take your own life seriously enough to structure it. People who drift through their days, constantly pulled in 10 directions at once, often don't realize that the root of their disorder is not just poor time management, it's a lack of internal authority. They haven't yet told themselves with conviction, my goals matter, my time is worth protecting. But the moment you start scheduling with intent, you begin to step into that authority. You begin to act like your life counts for something. A schedule isn't about punishment. It isn't about locking yourself into a prison of responsibilities. That's what people misunderstand. They think structure is the enemy of freedom. But the truth is that structure is the foundation of freedom. Without it, you are a slave not to discipline, but to impulses, distractions, other people's priorities, and your own fleeting moods. You're constantly reacting to messages, to demands, to thoughts you didn't plan, and emotions you didn't invite. But when you have a schedule, you reclaim your power. You become the architect of your day instead of the victim of it. When you sit down and craft a schedule, you're doing something powerful. You're defining your day before the world has the chance to. You're drawing lines and saying, this is what I'm focusing on. This is what I'm giving my time, energy, and attention to. That is a deeply personal act of clarity, and it's difficult because it requires that you confront what matters most to you and make time for it. It forces you to stop hiding behind excuses. Because once you make a schedule, you can't pretend you didn't have time. You did have time, you just didn't structure it. That's on you. It's easy to believe that you'll get to your goals eventually, that the right time will magically appear, but life doesn't work that way. Time never shows up and hands itself to you. You have to seize it. You have to assign it. When you choose to schedule, you're saying, I respect myself enough to stop leaving my life to chance. You become the kind of person who honors their time, who protects their dreams with routine and discipline. That's not a small shift, it's a total transformation of how you view your life, your energy, and your purpose. One of the biggest misconceptions about scheduling is that it turns you into a robot, that it strips away your freedom and creativity. But that's entirely backwards. In truth, a good schedule is not a cage, it's a weapon. It's not about suffocating your spontaneity. It's about making sure that what matters actually gets done. It's about building a daily rhythm where your energy, your time, and your focus are aligned with your values. And here's the key insight. You're not a slave to the clock, you're its commander. The schedule works for you. You are in charge. People often resist schedules because they associate them with dull routines, with rigidity, with micromanagement of every second. But a well-built schedule doesn't need to be strict, it needs to be intentional. You don't have to fill every minute of every day. That's not the point. The point is to decide ahead of time how your day will unfold so you don't spend the whole thing reacting. Without a schedule, every interruption is a crisis. Every distraction becomes an invitation. But with a schedule, you're saying to the world and to yourself, I know what I'm doing right now, and I know why I'm doing it. When you create that structure, you are creating space not just for work, but for everything that matters, for rest, for connection, for learning, for breathing. A powerful schedule doesn't just protect your productivity, it protects your peace. It guards against the endless tide of urgent tasks and time-wasting habits, and most importantly, it helps you stop negotiating with yourself every hour. That inner dialogue, should I do this now, maybe later, maybe tomorrow, that voice eats up more energy than you realize. But once you've set your schedule, that argument is over. The decision has already been made. That clarity alone can boost your discipline tenfold. You get to decide how much flexibility to build in. You get to decide how hard to push and when to pull back. That's the beauty of it, you are in full control. You tailor your days to fit your goals, your energy levels, your responsibilities. And over time, the schedule becomes more than a plan. It becomes a structure of self-trust. Every time you follow through on what you set out to do, you reinforce a deep message within yourself. I can count on me. That's power. That's how you take the steering wheel back from chaos. And it all starts when you stop fearing the clock and start commanding it. Every day that you wake up and choose to schedule your time, you are negotiating with your future self. You are essentially sitting down across the table from the person you are becoming and asking, "What do you need from me today so you can live better tomorrow?" That negotiation is not theoretical, it's real. It happens every time you decide whether to show up for your responsibilities or avoid them. Whether you write the page, make the call, go to the gym, or sit scrolling on your phone for hours. Every small choice you make today is either an investment or a withdrawal from the life you want in the future. We often talk about dreams as if they're distant, floating things we might catch someday. But the truth is, your future is built by your present habits, and your habits are shaped by your daily schedule. A goal without a schedule is just a wish. You can talk all day about what you want to achieve, but unless you assign time to it, unless you carve out space in your life to actually do the work, it will always remain out of reach. You are not going to stumble into success. You will not accidentally become who you want to be. You must decide every single day that your time is sacred, that your growth is worth protecting. Most people avoid scheduling because it forces them to confront the gap between where they are and where they want to be. It reveals the cost. It requires you to sit down and ask yourself hard questions. What am I doing with my time? What am I avoiding? What am I pretending I'll do later? That's why people would rather drift. It's easier to float through the day than to look your future in the eye and say, "I'm coming for you." But that's exactly the courage you need. You must stop fearing the structure. You must stop letting the weight of your own potential crush you into paralysis. You must start moving, and the way you move is by making a damn schedule, not a perfect one, not a military-grade itinerary, just a clear, honest, realistic plan for how you'll spend your time. Because when you schedule your day, you're telling your future self, "I've got you." You're showing up for your own life with discipline, clarity, and purpose. And if you can do that, day after day, the future you dream about will stop feeling distant. It will start feeling inevitable. When you look at the root of most people's dissatisfaction with life, it's not a lack of talent or even a lack of motivation, it's the absence of structure. Too many people are wandering through their days, overwhelmed by decisions, distractions, and delays. They want progress, but they don't have a process. They want fulfillment, but they're stuck in the fog of daily chaos. What they truly need, though they often resist it, is order. Not suffocating, rigid perfection, but meaningful structure. A schedule, because once you impose structure on the chaos, clarity begins to emerge. You begin to see what actually matters, and more importantly, you begin to live like it matters. Making a schedule isn't a boring task reserved for type, personalities, or corporate planners. It's a fundamental tool for anyone who wants to reclaim agency over their life. Your schedule is your declaration of intent. It says, "I'm not going to drift anymore. I'm not going to waste this day, this week, this year." It's a system of accountability not just to others, but to yourself. It's where dreams are broken down into steps and steps are turned into habits. You stop waiting for life to happen and you start shaping it. It may not be glamorous, but it is powerful. The most successful people in any field are not always the most talented, they are the most consistent. And consistency is born from structure. What you schedule, you prioritize. What you prioritize, you make progress on. And what you make progress on begins to define who you become. Every time you sit down and plan your day, you're reinforcing the idea that your time is valuable, your energy is limited, and your goals are worthy of protection. You stop being someone who merely talks about their potential and start becoming someone who lives it. Even when it's hard, even when it's boring, even when motivation is nowhere to be found, because you've learned that discipline doesn't depend on mood, it depends on clarity and commitment, and those come from making a plan and following through. So don't wait for the perfect time. Don't wait for life to calm down. Start where you are. Build a schedule that reflects your values, protects your energy, and moves you forward even just one step at a time. You owe it to yourself, not because you're failing, but because you can do better. You deserve to do better. Life doesn't hand out meaning. You create it through responsibility, order, and purpose. And it all starts with one decision: to stop living by accident and to start making a damn schedule. Thank you so much for taking the time to engage with this powerful message. Your presence here means more than you know. If this speech sparked something in you, a drive to take control, to bring order to chaos, to start living with true purpose, then let it be the beginning of something bigger. Don't let it end with inspiration. Turn that fire into action. I appreciate every listener, every supporter, and every person who's ready to take responsibility for their time and their life. Your journey matters. Your discipline matters. And your story is still being written one scheduled day at a time. If you found value in this message, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe so you never miss future uploads packed with purpose, clarity, and truth. Your support helps fuel this mission and bring this message to others who need it. Until next time, take ownership of your time, structure your days with intention, and never forget you have more power than you think. Stay strong, stay focused, and make a damn schedule. Thank you and goodbye.